Romdhane. Welcome, Nizar.
Thanks, Jesse. Hello, everyone. Very excited to be here in Kunshan at GMGC. Today I'll be going through virtual reality, particularly mobile virtual reality, and why it is going to be the next big thing. So a bit about myself. I'm from Cambridge, UK. So VR entrepreneur, started a virtual reality startup in Cambridge, developing virtual reality content and technology. So the background, Cambridge, with a famous university. If you can visit it one day, do. It's really pretty. But also, I was, before this, with ARM, the processor company, for more than 10 years. And I was the worldwide director of ecosystem, working with game developers all over the world to ensure they use the ARM processors correctly and make great games. I'm also part of the British Game Developer Association as a non-executive director. It's a bit equivalent like GMGC, so it is an association that helps British game developers be more successful, but also connect with other developers in the rest of the world. I don't know whether you have watched someone try in VR for the first time, but you do get an expression a bit like this. Actually, early on, we had someone who tried VR for the first time, right in the room after they won a deep-on VR headset, and they pretty much had a reaction like that. You get just an amazing reaction, and that's a lot down to people fully immersed into this amazing virtual world. It's like being in another world. So it gives you strong feeling of going somewhere else. VR is not new. Of course, you've heard about it quite a lot recently, but it did start really a while back. And there was already a push to the consumers in the 90s. Virtual reality, some of you remember that device on the left-hand side, but also Sega, when they were doing consoles, they tried to launch a VR headset. But unfortunately, it was way too early for VR back then. And mainly because the hardware was not ready. VR is quite a hard problem, and the hardware was not ready. So unfortunately, it all died and went into quiet mode until Oculus was founded in 2012, and they launched the Oculus Rift. Then the whole market went again for VR. The device itself didn't make it to the market until 2016, but it helped reviving VR and bringing it back to the market. If you look at the cycles of the next big thing, VR and AR, augmented reality, are considered as the next big thing, like the fourth cycle of big things in technology. All started with PC, revolution when the PC made it into everywhere, whether it's business, corporate, or inside the home. Changed the way we do things. Internet added more to that, allowed us to be all connected, websites, and communicating with people. Then mobile devices were the third greatest revolution. It allowed us to be connected and have our applications and do everything on the go. Wherever we are, we always do that. The next big wave is virtual reality and augmented reality, which has taken us into another area, a whole new world, project ourselves into virtual worlds and virtual environment. How big is VR, or how big VR is going to be? Lots of forecasts. Probably the most accurate one is from Gigi Capital, an analyst based in the US, and they estimate that the virtual reality market in 2020 will be approximately $30 billion. So the huge market coming. A lot of that will be virtual reality hardware, so headsets. but a lot of that will be content, and when I say content, probably games, VR games are going to be the biggest. VR video will have a big role to play, as well as other apps, non-entertainment apps, as well as theme parks, location-based, so you go to a special place to enjoy VR. So it's a big, big market for everyone. Investing in VR then makes sense. If we're talking about big markets in 2020, it's time to invest, actually, not today, but yesterday. And you can see already, again, reports from DigiCapital, the level and amount of investment that is going into virtual reality and augmented reality is just accelerating. The big spike you see there was Leap Motion alone. So the famous company in the US. But you can see investments are really, really going up, hitting more than half $1 billion every quarter. So it's time to invest big in VR because it's the next big thing. But talking more about mobile, virtual reality started initially on PC. Mobile virtual reality was really launched when Samsung partnered with Oculus and launched the Gear VR. It was truly the first mobile VR headset. It was released in 2015. I think it's almost a year since that device is selling to the consumers. And Samsung speak already about 1 million active users every month on the Gear VR. Something like 5 million or more devices have sold, but we're talking already about 1 million active monthly user on mobile VR. That's pretty much high-end mobile device. Google launched, as you might know, the Cardboard, which was really interesting because it allowed VR to go into the masses. It's very cheap. You can buy it for a few dollars, or actually you can give it away for free. McDonald's, for example, did give away lots of VR headsets to its customers, branded with McDonald's, with the McDonald's app. And it allowed everyone really to experience VR for the first time. So Cardboard VR is also very, very big. Google added another layer to that and announced this year Daydream VR. So it's coming later this year, and it looks really, really promising. It will be more high-end than the Cardboard, but will be probably more mass market than the Gear VR. It's also a device that will be based on the Android ecosystem, but enhanced and improved for virtual reality. China also has really a big role to play in VR. And you have already big players in China. To name a few, Nibiru, who are more of a platform rather than a hardware maker. I think they have more than 30 hardware makers using their platform. That's for an example of their all-in-one VR headset. You have also Deepon with the all-in-one M2 device already in the market. And both these companies speak of tens of thousands of units shipping already. So big adoption of these new devices, the all-in-one VR headsets. These devices are really an innovation from China. Only in China, was introduced by China, selling currently in China. The rest of the world is either PC or console VR or mobile VR based on a mobile phone. These devices are really unique and shows how China is actually playing a big role in shaping things in the world of virtual reality. And I think very soon these all-in-one devices will make it also to the Western world. So when we talk about mobile, we say probably it will be the biggest part in VR. Looking at some of the forecasts again from DigiCapital, you can see the installed base of all VR headsets in the world. Already this year, the estimation 30 million units will be selling. I think the shipment, certainly the numbers from Google, from Oculus, and Samsung and the Chinese players show that probably it's going to be more than that. But it's estimated that next year it will hit 70 million units, and the year after will go above 100 million units, to hit nearly 300 million units in 2020. But the interesting part, if you look at that graph, that the biggest chunk is going to be mobile VR devices. You can see PC and console VR, it's going to be really, well, small compared to mobile. It will hit certainly 10 or 20 million at some point, but nothing like what mobile VR headsets will be shipping. By 2020, more than 100 million mobile VR devices will be selling, either based on a smartphone or fully independent mobile VR headsets. Augmented reality devices will appear later, and that will allow the whole market to reach 300 million units, or more than 300 million units in 2020. So this is the forecast from DigiCapital for VR devices. If we want to dig deeper into mobile VR particularly, and the devices, the VR experience based on a phone, and we look at forecast volume for mobile phones independently from the VR headset that comes with them. So these numbers come actually from Arm, the company I used to work for. It's all public numbers, so in their annual reports. Going forward, since Arm was acquired, so it's quite unknown whether these reports and figures will be available from them on a regular basis or not. But this is one of the latest forecasts from Arm and the analyst it is working with. So the market for smartphones is clearly now 3 segments. Entry-level smartphones that sell less than $50, even at less than $30. Mid-range smartphones selling probably between $100 and $200, and then the premium, which are selling probably more than $400. By 2020, the entry-level smartphone, we will be talking about 1 billion of these shipping every year. The mid-range, 650 million, and the high-end will be 450 million. You have also tablets and laptops, but for VR probably it's more smartphones that matter. Among these 3 categories, we're talking about 2.1 billion smartphones to sell every year in 2020. When you think about that entry-level smartphone, what is the capability of that device? It's a cheap device that cannot do much. You can follow a rule of thumb. The high-end smartphone of this year will be probably the mid-range of the year after, and then the year after that will be the entry-level. So 2 to 3 years on average, when the performance of the high-end smartphone becomes the performance of the mid-range. So this year, 2016, is probably the iPhone or the Galaxy S7 that is really the high-end device. So in 2018 or 2019, that will be the performance that you will have in every entry-level smartphone. So a smartphone for $30 will have that performance. So the entry-level smartphone of 2020 is more powerful than the S7. And you will have 1 billion of these shipping every year at less than $30. So the 300 million units in mobile, the forecast we saw earlier, and maybe the 100 or 150 million out of that in mobile, is probably a conservative number. Because if you have 2.1 billion smartphones selling, and people tempted by VR, even cardboard, then 150 million mobile VR units is probably a low number. So to show you how massive mobile is, and anything around mobile could be, including mobile VR. Talking about use cases, what can VR be used for? Of course, games, that's probably the first use case, but you can have also just experiences, not really games, where you interact with the world, just sit and relax, you're on an island, you're experiencing something. It could be used for training, and I've seen lots of examples of VR used really well for training. At Gamescom in Cologne in Germany, I saw really an interesting use case. actually drivers who drive very big machinery like the forklifts, etc. Instead of them trying and learning on that big device for the first time and running a risk to hit a wall, to do an accident, they have a VR-based training machine. And I tried it myself, and it's really impressive. And I'm glad I didn't try the virtual reality version, because I did hit 2 walls while doing that. So I said, if I was really driving a forklift, I would probably have done a disaster. It could be used also for education, for TV and film, for advertising. The use cases for VR are massive, and we are probably scratching the surface what VR could be used for. And this is probably down to you guys to innovate and come really with ideas what we can use VR for. VR has a lot of challenges. I'm not going to go through the technical details of this challenge, but the biggest challenge is how can you have a smooth experience between the input and the output, so that people will not feel dizzy and will have a great experience. A lot of efforts are going into this area by the various players, but lots of technical challenges to solve. So that's it for my talk. If you want to be in touch, that's my email. One-line summary: mobile VR is really, really going to be big. Thanks. Any questions?